connected, transparent, and yours to control. Play TV isn't just a platform. It's a community of creators building a new future together. Your freedom starts when you press play.
Still under construction, but already the biggest news station in Poland. The only international TV station that interviewed Donald J. Trump.
I'd like to say hello to the Polish people.
Poland's leftist government wants to destroy us, but we are not backing down. We're building conservative, English-speaking European news station. Join the movement. Support the revolution.
Make Europe great again.
This is Republica, the home of free speech.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is CPAC in action. Please welcome founder Detat Dose Group, Hobe Schabander. Founder of Walkaway, Brandon Straka. CPAC Chairman, Matt Schlapp. And your host of American Sunrise on Real America on RAV, Dr. Gina Loudon.
How many are here?
Over there.
Hey. Oh, okay.
All right, everybody. Welcome, first of all. How amazing has this CPAC been for you? Woo! And you know, CPAC, the thing I love about it, I've been coming for decades now. Phyllis Schlafly actually brought me to my very first CPAC. Now I come every year with Real America's Voice and love talking to all of you. But my favorite thing about CPAC is it is what President talks about all the time, action, action, action. And so that's what we're going to talk about with you today, what we did right in this last election. If the message that's coming through to you as really the actors in the action, right? If that's the right message, because the people on this panel have the expertise to tell you all of the above. So I think what we should do is start with just a brief intro, if you guys can, just a couple of sentences about who you are and what you did in this last election.
Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. My name is Hobe Schabander. I was in the field in Michigan. My group launched the Arab Americans for a Better America, or APAC. And thanks to a great deal of CPAC's support, we set up shop in Michigan early on in the campaign as an outside group, working very closely with our favorite ambassador, Rick Grinnell, to reach out to the Middle Eastern community, Muslims, Christians in Michigan, and we helped turn Michigan deep red with a lot of first-time voters who had never voted Republican ever in their life, voting for President Trump because they knew that he was a president for peace.
Hey everybody, I'm Brandon Strzok. I'm the founder of the #Walkaway campaign.
Don't get a big head, Brandon.
We are the largest national movement of former Democrats walking away from the Democratic Party at this point. In 2018, we started a national conversation about the need for people to walk away from the divisive, hateful Democratic Party and political left. As of today, Walkaway has grown to over 750,000 people who have joined our movement, tens of thousands of people who have created their written and video testimonials about leaving the Democratic Party. And dare I say that I believe that the 2024 election was the walk-away election. And I'm not just saying that. I'm not just saying that because we walked away with the presidency, and we walked away with the House, and we walked away with the Senate, and we walked away with the popular vote, and we walked away with every swing state in the country. But because massive numbers of minorities walked away from the Democratic Party in 2024 and led us to victory.
Well, you know this guy. Do you have any sentences you want to say about what you do?
Well, I just want to say that my wife, Mercy, just walked in. I think she's doing a great job. Thanks for coming to listen to me. I was told that there's going to be some harsh judges of how I do in this panel, so I'm very nervous right now about what the scores are going to be. In my household, you have to do a good job where I have 6 women who kind of let you know you don't do so good. But and all my kids, almost every one of my kids is here today. So if you see them, you know, be careful because they're good staffers, I want you to know. Okay, so let me just give you a quick overview at CPAC. You guys are all very generous to us and to many other conservative groups. CPAC has, I think, a big role to play there, but Brandon's group has a big role to play there. I bet you have Michigan groups that have a big role to play there. The one thing as a conservative community, by the way, I'm preaching to myself right now. The one thing as a conservative community, which I think is the pro-America community, I'm not so sure conservative is even a word we have to use right now. We just believe in America and America's values. That we got to partner together really, really well if we're going to beat the bad guys, if we're going to beat the commies. So this is a little bit to myself. I get competitive. I think, well, that's a CPAC thing. CPAC did that. And we're doing a good job as an organization because all of you are helping us. But we all have to work together. And I have to say, to begin my comments, I think we ought to give a rousing applause to having an RNC chairman who was uber competent and did a great job in Michael Whatley. Susie Wiles, the campaign manager for Donald Trump, deserves a round of applause for being uber competent, and Chris LaCivita. Let's give them a round of applause. They're all friends of mine. They're all people I've worked with for a long time. Whatley and LaCivita, I don't even want to tell you how many decades it's been. It's a lot of decades. There's a lot of snow on the roof now, I know that. I have to comb it every morning, once a day. But beyond that, these entities, the campaign and the RNC, can only do so much. You got to have outside groups. You got to have nonprofits that will do a lot.
Right.
And I just want you to know, from a CPAC perspective, I have some of my board members here who helped me think this through. We tried to do what others weren't doing.
Right.
It was because the RNC was so competent and the campaign was so competent that I knew that they would do their pieces competently. And that's not always the case in politics. Sometimes they're not doing it competently, and then you're scared to death because you got to fill in. They did their job competently. And then we saw the seams, right? We saw the openings that we could spend time on. And for CPAC, we decided to focus on a couple things. We helped you in Michigan with Rick's direction.
Right.
Because we thought Michigan could be turned red. Are you here from Michigan, anyone? Wasn't that awesome? It happened. And it didn't. And funny, when you look for the openings and the seams, it takes less revenue because nobody's playing. And so you play with smaller amounts of money. We still spent millions of dollars on this project. Mercy led the way on the Hispanic outreach. There, believe it or not, there was a lot of openings there. Thank you, sweetheart, for your great work and your voice on those things. And then we did something else. By the way, we believe that they cheat. I'm sorry if it's controversial. I'm never gonna stop saying it. I'm sorry if I keep getting canceled. I believe they cheat. We think, as a board, at CPAC, we think that if we expose their cheating, put cameras on their cheating, have people watching and reporting on their cheating, writing letters to state officials about how they plan to cheat, that stops a lot of the cheating, and I believe that's what happened this time, and we did plenty of that.
Well, Matt, here's a question, though. We heard a lot about banking the vote, right, in this last election, and the other thing about this last election that I'd like each of you to speak to is that, you know, we had Donald Trump. We're not going to have Donald Trump. Probably, well, I don't know, maybe we will. After yesterday, maybe we will have Donald Trump. But unless we change the Constitution.
We had one George Washington, and I think that there's one Donald Trump.
I think there's one Donald Trump. But the question is, you know, we hear this message all the time of bank the vote, as if that was the only thing that needed to be done in this last election. What do you all see on the horizon as we look forward into the midterms and, of course, into the next election that we need to be preparing for already, at least in our minds?
Yeah, look, there is a culture shift that we saw on the ground in Michigan. Look, we're talking about precincts where Arab Americans are a majority in the Detroit metro area, that Joe Biden, you know, won by over 80% in 2020, that Kamala lost by over 10% this time around. That is a sea change. You know, I mean, Kamala Harris was going around campaigning with Liz Cheney. You know what we did? We spent just, you know, a few $1,000s, put up a few billboards of just a picture of Kamala looking into the eyes of Liz Cheney, and we put, you know, war. You know, this is the war candidate. Ours is the peace candidate. Those are the simple messages that resonate with immigrant communities, with second-generation communities. These communities that had never, these were deep blue precincts that had flipped red from Dearborn Heights, Hamtramck, Yemeni Americans, Chaldeans, the Bangladeshi communities, both Muslim and Christians. This is historic what is happening here, and we have a real moment to build on flipping Michigan and that what I call a cultural sea change that President Trump inaugurated. And I think we have a tremendous opportunity to build on that victory in places like Michigan.
And Matt, you're so right in what you said a minute ago. When I started Walkaway back in 2018, 2019, what I wanted to do is fill in what I call some of the holes and where I felt like the Republican Party needed extra help. One of those was doing outreach to minority communities. I didn't see enough of it, and a lot of it wasn't, truly effective. So we got on the road back in 2018, 2019, and haven't stopped talking to the Black community, the Hispanic community, the LGBT community, Asians, Muslims. And what we saw in 2024, I think after all these years of efforts and many other groups doing amazing work, is the Black community shifted 3% to the right. The Asian community, 5% shifted to the right. The youth vote, 7% to the right. The American Indian, 10% shift to the right. In the Hispanic community, 20% shift to the right in 2024 from 2020, which I think is absolutely astounding. And
legacy media, Brandon, is not reporting some of those numbers that you're talking about.
Well, they don't want people to know.
Yeah.
And they want to try to keep convincing people that the Republican Party is the same old Republican Party they've been able to malign as being racist and bigoted and not welcoming to minorities, when in fact, we are the new America First Republican Party, which is a big, diverse tent of diverse intellectual ideas and diverse people of all backgrounds.
And really, the Republican Party long has been the true big tent, but the media would really like to keep that a secret from the voting electorate. One of the things that you did that I think is so fascinating is, you always hear you've got to go into the communities, and I know CPAC supported you. You went right into those communities, and probably no one had ever been there to ask them for their vote before.
No.
Yeah.
In many instances, we held dozens of town halls, anywhere from 20 people to 200 people, and Ambassador Grinnell, God bless him, was talking to everybody.
He didn't leave Michigan.
Yeah.
He just stayed in Michigan. He worked his rear off. It was amazing to watch the posts. And you guys didn't do it in a way to get a bunch of attention.
Yes.
You did it quietly.
Yeah. People thought we were crazy. When we started early on, they're like, why are you reaching out to them? Why are you reaching out to a community that was in the deep blue precincts that never voted Republican, let alone for President Trump? But Ambassador Grinnell led the way. Leadership, matters. Look, and these were conversations that were difficult conversations. Kamala Harris didn't want to meet with the Arab Americans, the Muslim Americans, because she was afraid of tough questions. But our guy, Rick was sat in there. A lot of this conversation, they were respectful conversations, but they were tough conversations. And that is the difference when you have a paternalistic Democratic Party, far left, that doesn't want to treat minority groups that are American at heart, that are pro-America. They've immigrated here, they sacrificed so much for their families and for their children. I'll give you an anecdote. We did a 20-second ad called The Daughter of Dearborn that went viral in Michigan. It was a lady by the name of Sam Lukman. She was a Yemeni American, a daughter of immigrants, a single mother, was a progressive activist, and was looking into the camera telling her community to vote for Donald Trump because he is the candidate for peace, as he has proven to be. And that is we've never seen anything like it. It was absolutely historic. People thought we were crazy for even trying, but we proved them wrong.
And Gina, you hit the nail on the head with what you said a moment ago about, a lot of these communities haven't even been talked to, and if just a small amount of outreach can make such a difference. When we look at 2025, okay, so 2025, there's two very big races that we have coming up. There's a governor's race in Virginia and a governor's race in New Jersey, right? Yeah, but you guys listen to me, because...
Aaron, can we win New Jersey? Okay. Yes. Elizabeth, we can win, okay.
Yeah, but hear me out here, because there's two key philosophies that I'm asking people to embrace going into this year and every year forward. Number one, that every year is an election year. We can no longer just get involved every 2 years or every 4 years for a couple of weeks before the election. And number two, Every election is a national election. What do I mean by that? Well, we saw in 2020 how just a few governors in a few states with the stroke of a pen changed their voter laws by executive order, which cost us the 2020 election overall. So it does matter in every state who the governors are. We have to get involved in all of this. Now, when we talk about communities that people are not connecting with, it doesn't just go by, the color of people's skin or their religion. Here's in New Jersey, convicted felons are allowed to vote in New Jersey. Well, guess what? The Democratic Party, who has spent decades screaming about criminal justice reform, when they decided to go after Donald Trump and decided to go after the J6ers, the Democratic Party decided that there's nothing worse in the world than being a convicted felon and that they're the scum of the earth. I am going into New Jersey all of this year. I'm going to be speaking in prisons. I am going to be speaking to ex-convicts groups. And my message is very simple. Which political party is demonizing convicted felons, and which political party just elected one to be president of the United States?
That's awesome. I love that. Matt, here's a quick question for you.
I like these guys talking, Gina. I think they're making a lot of sense.
Well, but I want you to address something, because you talked about looking out there at the landscape in your own states and seeing what no one else is doing, seeing the message that no one else is thinking or the action that no one else is taking. You did that in this last election. Just talk briefly about that.
Yeah, so, I worked on presidential campaigns. Mercy and I met in a White House. Like, we've been doing national politics. I mean, I kind of feel like I'm at an AA program here, because I'm sorry to all of you that I've been involved in politics my whole entire life. It's the only thing I've ever done. But a part of that is, even when you're dim-witted, you can learn some things. And what you learn is that everybody's a genius when you win an election. So we're all geniuses. Everything we did was fantastic because we won, and that's not honest.
No.
Some of the things were difference makers, and some of the things weren't. When you lose, everyone's an idiot, and everything you did was stupid, and that's not honest either. So you have to really look at things in a clear-eyed way. I would say there's a couple things I've been doing this job a while, and there's a couple things I'm actually proud of, even though they say that's a vice, right? Pride. But there are a couple things I'm proud of. One of the things I'm most proud of is, back to Brandon's comments and your comments too, the first group, and we do this together, we're a community. The first group to invite RFK to speak was who? It was CPAC.
CPAC.
CPAC invited RFK. I got yelled at by everybody. What an idiot you are. He's a liberal. He's running against Trump. He's gonna hurt Trump. I was like, I don't know. I'm reading about these assassinations. I think he's got a real finger on the pulse of this deep state thing. And by the way, I don't know if any of you've noticed, but I think I eat too many Snickers bars sometimes, and I don't think our food thing is working so good. And I go to all these other countries. I go to Hungary and Brazil and all these countries, and they all look so much better than the rest of us in America who are a little porky and a little eating our processed food. So he might be right about this. So we let him come, and he spoke about this, and he hit it out of the park. Now he's in Trump's cabinet, okay? Do you know who was the first group to invite Tulsi Gabbard to speak on the right? CPAC. She headlined our Reagan dinner. Any of you who were in this room who were there that night who yelled at me, none of you didn't yell at me, Karen. But it worked out. But some of you said to me, what the hell are you doing? I was like, I don't really know, but we're gonna give her a shot because the Democratic Party is literally kicking her out of it. And she just ran for president. And they say she's a Russian agent. Well, they say Trump's a Russian agent, so I really might like her when I get to know her. And she did a spectacular job. Yeah. By the way, you know who else we took a chance on, who everyone said it was wrong to do? Donald Trump.
Oh, yeah.
Came to CPAC.
Yeah.
Look at what National Review said when we invited Donald Trump to CPAC.